Hi, I'm Ron Van Cirksum. I'm a certified financial planner and the owner of AAM Fee Only Financial Planning and Investments. The purpose of this meeting is so that I can introduce myself, how I work, and what I do, which is what I normally do in the first meeting, so that it'll save time. And if at the end of this you decide you want to work with me, we can move right on to talking about you, your goals, and more of a strategy session rather than me going through all of this again. So if you do watch this and you do want to work with me, let me know that you've seen this so we can plan accordingly for the second meeting. So here at AAM, our primary, what we really try to do for clients is help them plan for their goals, manage their resources, and maximize their financial potential. I've been in the business since about 1994. I started working right out of college, working with a bunch of different advisors, mainly just to figure out if it was something that I wanted to do and I enjoyed doing. Eventually, one of those advisors left and started this company as a way for us to work towards becoming fee only and do the kind of business that we wanted to do. So then by about 2003, we were able to drop all of our securities licenses and become fee only on the investment side. And then about 2009 is when I dropped my insurance license as well and became totally fee only. And that's when I joined NAPFA, which is an association of fee only financial advisors. Now, fee only, what that really means is the only way I get paid is what clients agree to pay me. There's a few different fees I can do. It's by the project, by the hour, or as a percentage of assets under management. But again, it's the only way I get paid. And what that does is help reduce conflicts of interest. You're paying me really for advice or to manage accounts, not to sell products. So there's no other commissions, no other ways of really for me to get paid other than the advice and the investment work that I do for clients. So it's very clean that way. Through that process, about 2007, my partner ended up leaving the business, moving down to Florida. The idea was for us to continue to work together, so it didn't really work out. So yeah, in about 2009, I also, became the owner of Advanced Asset Management. It's been mine really ever since. Now, currently, I've got two employees that also work with me. Mary, who is administrative assistant type duties, and Gabriel Jones, who does most of the investment research. He meets with different investment vendors and does all the portfolio rebalancing, allocations, and kind of does all that stuff for me. So I can sit down and just talk to clients and strategize and do that type of work. Also have Anthony Janek with me this summer as an intern and from the University of Wisconsin, and hopefully, we'll see. We'll continue with that throughout the year as he goes back to school even. And then again, what I really try to do for clients is help them plan for their goals, manage their resources, and maximize their financial potential. If you choose me, what can you expect? What I try to do is provide the best service with a competitive cost structure to give you value for what you pay me. Nice thing about being fee only, again, I don't receive any big upfront commissions, so clients pay me over time. And if I'm not providing value to you, you're not going to pay me over time. So I think, it actually works pretty well that way. So it gives me the incentive to stay on top of things, to continue to provide value, to answer your questions, to be someone that you can talk to, when those questions come up. Work to keep you and your family as clients for life. When I bring on clients, I'm thinking long-term relationship. I want to help you, all the way through. We'll work with you to keep you and your family as clients for life. And sometimes that doesn't always work out. Maybe you just need some advice now, and then you're good to go. You can go off and do what you need to do. But hopefully my plan is to, provide you good advice when you need it, so that later, if you go out and do your own thing, you come back if you have more questions, and I can be helpful once again. When you call, I'll do my best to have a person answer, but can't always happen with just the 3 or 4 of us in the office. So leave a message. You can shoot me a text, send me an email, a lot of different ways to contact me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. That I can promise. We'll manage your money according to your investment objectives. Now, one thing, how I work again, if you're comfortable managing your own money, I can just provide advice. That's fine with me. I don't mind that type of a relationship at all. But if you choose to have me manage money for you or with you, then I'm going to make sure those dollars are invested according to your investment objectives. You may have some accounts that we want to keep conservative, others that we want to keep aggressive, or somewhere in between. So again, communicate, and we'll work through and make sure that continues, and that we're on the same page. Offer intelligent strategies for your situation. So looking at the big picture, we will, it's not just about managing an account. It's looking at the big picture and, making sure you're doing all the little things along the way to get you to where you want to be. And just try to meet any other expectations you might have of a financial advisor. I've sat down with some of my widowed clients with a car dealership just to make sure when they're buying a car, maybe they're not sold, or, sold something they don't need, or just to have someone on their side of the table when they're going through that kind of a negotiation. So anything I can do to help at that point to help you get to where you want to be. I want you to become a raving fan of AAM, so that if anyone asks who you're working with, you're comfortable passing my name along, and so that I can help them as well. So if you're comfortable doing that, then I know I'm doing a good job, and that's where I want to be. Things I do for a lot of my clients, probably the biggest thing is the retirement planning. So look at, here's where you are right now, here's where you want to be. What does that target look like? If we keep doing what we're doing, is that going to get us there? And then making all those little adjustments along the way. And then things we talk about are IRA distribution strategies, when to draw Social Security, if you have a pension, doing some calculations around that, and just making sure you stay on track. I do a lot of tax planning with clients, especially in conjunction with retirement, because as you get into retirement, your tax return is going to change significantly. So I like to keep an eye on clients' tax brackets, what they're doing to reduce taxes, offer advice on anything I can see where it might help reduce taxes, before, at, and after retirement. And, just make sure the investments are lined up with that goal as well. Tax loss harvesting, things like that, if I'm managing money, or at least giving you advice if you're managing the money on that. I do a lot of asset management, investment work for clients. Basically what that is if you have money that you want me to manage for you, we can open a Charles Schwab brokerage account. You give me the ability to trade it, and we talk about how we want that money invested. It's really that simple, and then I go to work. I also have some clients who want to do more of a, work together on it. So maybe they'll do some trading, I'll do some trading. And I also have a few clients where they do all the trading. I just kind of am there in case they need me to do something or have questions. So again, a lot of different ways that I can work with you. It does not have to be, one size fits all by any means. I'm a believer in diversification, asset allocation, those types of ideas, having money working in a lot of different asset classes, large cap, small cap, stocks, bonds, cash, and some alternative assets, so that we stay diversified. I'm a firm believer that you don't want to sell in market downturns. I'd rather be buying. So again, being diversified, we'll have some money that we can move into the market when the market's down and buy low. And then again, the rebalancing process kind of makes us sell when the market's high. I think that's a much better way to manage money rather than trying to time a market drop or rise or those types of things. Estate planning. I don't do the documents for estate planning. I'll help you work with an attorney of your choice, or I can refer you to one. But my job is to make sure just at some point those documents get done so that the assets that you have can get managed and handled when you can no longer do that yourself. So powers of attorney, healthcare powers, do you need a trust, making sure the wills get done. Those are the types of things that we'll talk about, and I will, again, bug you until it gets done in some cases. Risk management and protection planning. Again, what I do is I can evaluate your insurances, whether it's life, disability, long-term care, or even health and home and auto, that kind of stuff. I can take a look at them without being the person that's going to try and sell you additional or different insurance. So I'll give you an objective look at your insurance policies, and again, if that's what you want me to do, I can do that, and just give you some ideas on things you can change, or shortfalls or anything that I might see. And then business planning. Basically, if clients have a small business or want to start a small business, I can comment a little bit on ownership, should you be, when should you convert to an S corp, those types of things, without really giving legal advice, and but just give some recommendations. And small company retirement plans, again, help you save money while you own a business, reduce taxes, those types of things that I can also help with. The process, the financial planning process itself, this is typically what I do in the first meeting, is this right here. So let's just talk, when we get together. The first meeting's typically no charge until we really get down to starting to talk about the planning and things like that. Second meeting is more, pulling that information together, bringing in, getting me your statements, tax returns, pay stubs, and then we sit down and talk about what are your goals? What do you want this money to do for you? And what types of things do you see yourself doing over the next, 3, 4, 5 years, or 10, 15, 20 years, and pulling that all together. Then third meeting tends to be more presentation and implementation. Here's all my thoughts, ideas, and recommendations on what I think you should do based on where you're at and what you want to do. So we kind of go through and then discuss, just ideas on, and some of those things I'll be able to do for you, other things maybe you need to do. And then after that, it's really just a review process. I leave it up to my clients how often you want to review. Some clients I'll meet with once or twice a year, some every few years, and some more often if there's circumstances where things are changing and they just need to get together more often than that. And then as part of that, be part of the advanced professional team for you. Kind of have an idea who your attorney, accountant, mortgage people, other people are. So in case something comes up, I can reach out and make sure, if there's something we're doing that's going to affect your taxes, we better make sure your tax person is aware of it. Or, you go see the attorney, so I want to make sure that the ownership of your assets now match up with what the attorney recommends they should be. So again, having being kind of a quarterback for you in that respect, so that we can organize and keep all that together for you. And then the planning itself is cloud access. So when I'm all done working on your plan, I can give over to you, we can set up credentials so that you can go online and start playing with your plan. You can look at a lot of what ifs. It's a pretty neat program to, if you want to look at it, if inflation stays high, how does that affect my plan? If the investments don't do as, if it's more volatile than we'd hoped, how does that affect your plan? Or if you save more or less. So it can be a pretty interesting process to go through. And again, if you're someone who likes to do that, the planning is a great tool for that. And with a plan, you'll likely discover that, well, you might not be as well off as you'd like, but you're usually better off than you might have feared. And with a good plan, you can be okay, and hopefully a lot better than okay. And just as an example, as clients are nearing retirement, let's say a couple wanted to retire at their age 64, and if we added up all the money they wanted to spend once they retire, it's about $2.6 million. They're saving $18,000 a year into an investment portfolio. That's about $850,000, and about 44% of it maybe is in stock type investments. So put that all into the plan, calculate it out, and the plan says, well, they could retire, but there's only a 40% chance that they'll still have money at the end of the plan, which might be like 90, 91, 92. So we want to do better than that typically. So what we do is start playing with the numbers, and then we figure if they work one more year, spend a little less, save a little bit more, and get a little bit more aggressive with those dollars. Well, now we can get to the point of maybe a 78% chance that they'll still have money at the end of the plan, which is a much better place to be, a much better path to get them to where they want to, or to allow them to do what they want to do. Cash flow planning, I kind of like to look at money in different buckets. The first bucket, when you're in the accumulation mode, is primary cash reserves. That might be the old Dave Ramsey $1,000 emergency fund at first, and then growing that into the 3 to 6 months of expenses, or whatever really you're comfortable with. And then from there, we can start strategizing on, do we start building secondary cash reserves, which I consider like pre-retirement spending. maybe vacations, next car, those types of things? Or do we start utilizing, retirement plans, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, Roth IRAs, those types of investments? So we'll come up with a saving strategy based on what you want to do as to where to put these extra dollars that you can save. Now, on the flip side, when it's distribution time, so now you're done saving money and it's time to start pulling it out so that you can retire, my job is to make sure that primary cash reserve always has enough money in it so that you can go out and do what you want to do. So we'll talk about what kind of spending you have coming up, next car, again, vacations, or just baseline retirement spending. My job is to make sure that checking account is always has enough in it so that you can do what you want to do and you don't have to think about it. Then I'd go out and look at where do we pull that money from? Do we pull it from secondary cash reserves? Do we pull it from IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs? What are the tax consequences? So I'll have a tax plan for you. So we'll kind of figure out here's how much money we think you're going to need. Here's where we're going to pull it from. This is what the tax bill will be. So again, no surprises when it comes to the next April and you have to complete that tax return. My goal through that process is to help you increase your yield or earnings with a minimal loss of liquidity, which means just keep that money available for you when you need it. A lot of the things we talk about, again, as we get close to retirement or into retirement, might be, when to draw Social Security. Part of the planning does include a Social Security optimization software. So we can look at, age 62, 65, 67, or even 70, what the benefits are. How to minimize taxes at retirement. Again, a lot of it's tax planning at that point. Positioning ourselves before retirement to minimize taxes. And then once we get there, taking it year by year and just figuring out, where do we draw the money from and minimize those taxes. How much can you draw without running out? So always keep an idea of how much money you have, how much money you're pulling out, and how long will the money last if you keep doing that and coming up with a good target. Where to draw income from and minimize taxes. Will Social Security be taxed and how much? Again, looking at that every year. And then health insurance in retirement. That's a big one. If you want to retire before age 65 and Medicare age, you have to have a plan for that. I'll be plugging in some assumptions as far as what that might cost. And then again, as you get closer, we can look at it in more detail. And I don't do the health insurance, but I can refer you to a few people that I know that would do a good job if you need that help. All right, then how do you want to do business? Okay, so there's a lot of us that are fee only, or more and more that are fee only, but there's still a lot of advisors that are more commission sales, or you might hear the term fee-based. Fee-based means that they're partial commission, partial fees, so they can do a combination of the two. Well, traditional commission sales tend to be more transaction-based. You get paid on transactions. Typically, again, someone wants to invest money, they buy an investment product, and the advisor receives a commission. Lots of different products, lots of different commission schedules, and a suitability standard, which means any advice they give to you has to be just suitable to you at the time of sale, not necessarily for the long term. Versus how I work, which is fee only, I look at it as more as ongoing advice, not transactional advice. So if you don't need to move money, if you don't need to create a transaction, again, I'm not going to tell you to, because it doesn't affect my pay. Fees can be flexible based on the work to be completed, so you can pay me by the hour, by the project, or as a percentage of assets that I manage. I have some clients that'll pay me an annual retainer fee, a lot of different ways that we can work together again there. And what that does is help reduce conflicts of interest. Again, I'm not incentivized to create a transaction to get paid. We can just figure out what type of advice you want and need, and then figure out the pay from there. Also, I'm a fiduciary. So a fiduciary simply means any advice I have to give to you has to be in your best interest, not just suitable. And that also leads to, service after the accounts are opened is essential for me to continue to work for you. Again, it's not a one and done, get something invested, do a transaction, and, call me at some point when you want to do another transaction. It's comprehensive financial planning. It's making sure we stay on track. It's really always focusing on the long term and making sure that the advice I give to you is in your best interest.